and welcome to the latest edition of Healthy Fayette County. I'm Trish Hapa, and I'm here today with our special guest. We have Holly Dunn, who is the Executive Director of The Haven, and Tracy Burns, who is the Secretary of the Whitewater Valley Arts Association. So we're going to talk about several different things today, and I know you're going to enjoy it. So Holly, let's start with you. What exactly is The Haven?
Well, we are a ministry that has actually evolved over time. Most people, every time I'm given this opportunity, I talk about Fuel, which was a youth young adult program that we hosted on Friday nights for basically 12 years. And so as COVID happened to the world, we modified and lots of things have changed. And really now we are home to the Friends of the Lord's Table. And so that means The Haven, which is 901 Meyer Avenue, has meals each night, Monday through Friday. I believe they start at 5. I'm sorry, okay. I'm the worst. But they're every single night.
Okay.
And then last year we became, we'd always offered prevention programs, which were really aimed at like helping youth avoid substance use. And now we are the holder of a grant that really helps us to provide substance use prevention in Fayette County, which we've technically been doing for a long time now. We're more than 13 years in. So
is that
that's
mainly
the gist, but I can tell you more.
Is that mainly aimed at youth, or is that for all ages?
Actually, it's all ages. So, all of our work was very much youth focused in the beginning. And now we partner with law enforcement and offer substance use prevention programming in school, which is called Too Good for Drugs and Project Alert. And we offer that in the elementary and the middle school. And then this year we were charged to provide substance-free alternative events, which kind of is a little more tricky than you would think because the venue has to have 0 alcohol or tobacco. And so we've offered substance-free events throughout the year, and we will be doing that again in the fall. And then the big target for our adult population is to show kids you care. And at this point, I hope everyone has seen 10 Ways to Show Kids You Care. And really, the goal of that, some people might say, what does that have to do with substance prevention? But it actually has a lot to do. Mm-hmm. So kids who have an adult who shows up to their event or find something that they can share in common. Those kids have skills to reduce or refuse drugs in the future. And so our goal is really, to work with adults and kind of promoting that social norm that we know kids' name. We talk to them when we see them. And so that Show Kids You Care campaign is hopefully everyone has seen it at this point. Where I'm excited because I think you're going to see it pop up on some downtown windows now, like the whole all 10 Ways to Show You Care. And
good.
So yeah.
And I think it's even with adults. If you know that someone cares about you, then it's like I must have something to offer, and that's so important, especially to our youth who have so many different things thrown at them, with the social media and all the peer pressure. It's to let them know that they are special.
They are special.
Wonderful.
I had a little girl, and I always, I kind of say this usually when real stories, they kind of get people's heart. Mm-hmm. And this past week, I was sitting with a little girl who just happened to ask a friend, would you take some graduation pictures of me in my cap and gown and holding my diploma? And the friend immediately said, I'd love to. Why didn't you walk? And the little girl looked at her with all sincerity and said, there'd have been no one there to watch. Mm-hmm. And so my goal, or at least a part of what we do, is one, just to slow down the pace a bit of our conversation. When I worked at the high school, I just remember looking out at the courtyard, and there were all these kids, and I was, lucky enough to know a lot of their stories. And I could just remember this overwhelming feeling that there weren't enough lifeboats. Like these kids were in this water and they were headed straight towards icebergs. Mm-hmm. And if I couldn't save them.
Mm-hmm.
But we just needed to create more lifeboats, like so that like somebody can come along and be like, get in my boat,
Right.
get in my boat. And so when I look at a little girl who has just graduated high school and she says to me, I didn't walk across the stage, it wouldn't have mattered. No one would have been there to see it. It hurts my heart because I still feel like we need more lifeboats. Mm-hmm. And so the whole goal of the social norming campaign, which is actually an evidence-based program, it is that, we're creating lifeboats. When parents know how to communicate with their kids and tell them that their feelings are okay and, are able to sit down with them and find something that they can have in common, it helps that child not only know how to refuse drugs later, but it also gives them that sense of belonging. It helps them to know there are people in this world that if they do the wrong thing, will see it and they don't want to disappoint you. And so there's a lot to actually showing kids you care and taking the time to just show up to their events, even if you could care less about pole vaulting.
Right.
It's all about like them looking out in the crowd and saying like, wait, that's my neighbor. Mm-hmm. And they cared enough to come see me. It makes you feel special. Right. And the long-term consequences of that is you have a person who, one, wants to stay, which is another piece of our work here in Fayette County. They feel like they belong here and that there are people who love them and care about them. And again, going right back to that, I don't want to disappoint them. Right. So the more people who know them by name and will meet with them on that intimate level, then it actually makes you want to do the right thing and maybe even become a world changer yourself and become a lifeboat for another kid another day.
Right. So. And if there's a parent out here watching who has a teen that they're just not sure how to connect with them, how can they get a hold of you, and what is available that you can help get them started on the right path?
Well, a campaign that we have used in the past that's not one we're overly promoting right now is called Talk They Hear You. And it's a national campaign. You can do an internet search on your phone or on just the regular web, and it's called Talk They Hear You. And they have tons of webinars and like podcasts and talking points. It's just a wealth of information. I'm always I say this, and I'm always willing to talk with parents. I'm by no means. Listen, I may have thought I was an expert at one point, but then the Lord gave me 2 kids, and I'm like, it's a totally different ballgame when you're actually parenting. And so, and what works for one family doesn't always work for another. So, I'm always glad to talk with someone. My number is actually on the side of the building, and it's on Facebook. So if you find Holly Dunn on Facebook, you're going to see my telephone number. Okay. And there's some things I feel like I maybe do really well, and some things I need to take a page out of my own playbook.
But that's important, is when someone knows the answers and when someone knows, I don't quite know all the answers, because none of us know all the answers of anything. But if a parent out there is struggling and they're embarrassed, like, I don't know how to help my own kid, they might be embarrassed, then they can go something like Talk They Hear You and start educating themselves on what they can do, because every parent wants their child to succeed, or they want the neighbor kid to succeed.
They do.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, there's a program, and I would love to offer it again. It's called Guiding Good Choices, and it's just a real as our funding comes and goes, there's things that we get charged to do, and other seasons that goes away. But I would always go back to saying Guiding Good Choices, or another program called Strengthening Families. They are just so valuable. And I find myself as a parent, my daughter's 10 now and my son is 8. And I find myself actually rolling back those pages and remembering and pulling those lessons from the archives, because, kids need to feel heard, and we are so fast, our society rolls so fast that it's easy for us to just be it's time to get to the next thing. It's time to get to the next thing. Brush your teeth, get in bed. And then at the end of the day, realize like, oh my gosh, I didn't have like one meaningful conversation with my child all day long. And I am as guilty of that as anyone. And one, I think we do have to give ourselves some grace. Like you said, there isn't a perfect parent. There's just not a perfect parent. However, we do need to be, like, the big word I would say is cognizant, aware of our kids, and know that they have great ideas. And if, I don't know, a goal of mine, like, I don't know your situations, but my goal is that I would have adult children someday that would want to come see me and hang out with me. And I actually think that groundwork starts now. Like,
Yes,
it's
it
like
does.
at 21 they don't arrive at liking you. And I think balancing that, like,
So
knowing how to be the authority in the house and be loving and kind, so that as they go into adulthood, they are still your friend and still want your advice. I think you have to stop and be intentional about hearing them. And I truly just, bringing it back to the 10 ways to show kids you care. I think that if they know that you've been honest with them and taught them to be honest, if you teach them to help other people and they see you helping other people, and, I can go all the way down those 10 ways. And I think they all matter, especially, finding a common interest. So if it's, a practical example in my house is if my daughter's playing softball, I'm going to find out what I can, and I'm going to learn how to do what I can, and I'm going to surely show up to every game.
okay.
And if my son is into Magic Tree House books, which they've been around for a bazillion years in our house, we read a lot. I read them with him so we can talk about it. A lot of times we cook together, and I'll put those kinds of videos on Facebook, just because I want people to see, just to model that. Because, again, I'll say this just as openly as ever. I did not grow up with this textbook life. Matter of fact, I remember lobbying for my dad to come to my college graduation. I was the commencement speaker. And like almost an ultimatum, like, there will be seats in this front row, and if you're not in them, I don't know what the future looks like for us. You know what I mean? Like, and so I get it from a personal level, like how much, whatever stage your kid is on, they want to look out and see you. And you just being there brings strength to them. And so
It's not just them.
no.
It's their friends too, because my daughter was in marching band, and so my husband and I were the only couple there that went to every one of their games or their performances or their practices, because we took care of the trailer. And so it was kind of one of those things where, my husband goes, I was never in band, why am I taking care of the trailer? And my daughter didn't go to Connersville, she went to a different school, but then one day he says, oh, I'm not here to take care of the trailer, I'm here to love kids. And because we adopted 36 kids,
Yes.
they were ours. They expected us to be there because they knew we were going to be there for Amaya and things like that. So my daughter's 24 now. She lives in Lafayette. She has her own job, but she calls Dad every Thursday, and they have a meeting by Zoom. And they talk about finances and other things in her life and how she should save her money. And
I love it.
and so he's helping her to build her future and things like that. So she does remember all the times that we've done things, the special things we did for her interests, because she's a girl in a man's world, basically, wanting to do that kind of a job. And so that's so we found all those avenues for a girl to find that way.
I love it.
And so, but then she has peers that feel the same, that will still come to us and call us mom and dad and things like that. So
I love it. And, so I guess when you ask what the Haven does, like, bringing it back to you, is I just want to leave a mark. I want kids to know how to refuse drugs. And it really kind of starts with knowing how to say, I don't want to play hide and seek right now. And I hope that through the partnerships that we have with law enforcement in our schools, that when kids see police on the street, they don't see them as the
not
bad
the
guy
enemy.
that took away somebody they loved, that they're able to connect with them on a personal level. And then I guess, as the adult side of things, I just really want more lifeboats. I want more Tracy's, and you know what I mean? Like more and I think, as we plan substance-free alternative events, like we just had a pool party last week. We did a movie in the park. The last Friday after school was out. We are having a self-care day today where we're partnering with Centerstone and Tara Henry Madden, and we're going to do facials and exercise and talk about friendships. As we do those types of community events, both in Fayette and Union, I should disclaim that. Kay Payton, Kay Riker Payton is in Union County working with us as well. I want to make more lifeboats. And the other thing is, it kind of goes along with our Healthy Fayette County initiative that we've all been working on. And it is, I introduced the idea of being a current changer. Like, you may be able to throw this much into the stream and you may be able to throw this much into the stream. But when collectively we as a community each say, you know what, I'm going to know 5 kids' names this summer. It's like this summer, I'm going to spend enough time getting to know Alexander and his little sister who come up to the Lord's table every Friday night, or most every night. Like, when they come up there, I want them to know that I'm an adult that loves them and cares. And so my charge at about halfway through this conversation is, like, who are you going to get to know this summer? Like, who are 5 kids that you don't know their name already, that you're just going to commit to just calling them by name every time you see them?
And sometimes you don't have to know them that well, but if you call them by name, they will want to know you because you actually did call them by name.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just as simple as offering up a lifesaver or, just how are you today?
Or I saw this beautiful flower and I thought of you. But there's something you're saying about this lifeboat that, the adult is also in that lifeboat. And a lot of times I think the adult is getting as much out of it as the child that they're helping.
Sometimes more.
Right, sometimes more. Yes. So it's positive on many fronts. So
yeah, I was talking to Marla. I'm a dreamer. I always have been. If you know me for 5 minutes, you know that I'm always thinking about what can we do. And it just so happened I was walking through the park. I don't know. It was the day of our event, and there was an older gentleman walking with he looked to be like 10-year-old boy, and I thought, what if every older person that wanted to walk in the summer was matched with a younger person from an elementary school, and they just were walking buddies. One, it would keep a kid safe on the street as they exercised. It would get them out of their house playing a video game or watching TV. And, like, let's just be honest. I mean, our bodies are all not what they used to be. And sometimes it's just good to have a buddy to be with you because you could trip and fall or anything. And so, I mean, I just think we have to think out of the box.
When it's something so simple as walking through the park.
Absolutely.
If I'm going to walk up my driveway, it's no fun. But if I had someone to walk with me, plus I would do it. But yeah, that's very well. There's so many things going on, and you mentioned our event last week. Something you'd like to talk about on that front?
Sure. I mean, we are all a part, and I mean, please add in because I'm kind of new. I think I started working with this in October, maybe November. But Healthy Fayette County has been doing art strolls for how many years now?
This is
3.
This is our 3rd year. We started meeting in October of 22.
Okay. And so really, I think Healthy Fayette County kind of was birthed out of the premise that our health rankings are in the tank here in Fayette County, and we are not living as long as people are elsewhere in the state, and even more so in the United States. Like Indiana is not one of the healthiest states. And so, like, looking at basic initiatives to, like, how do we help our community live longer? So out of that, really birth Healthy Fayette County, and some initiatives like this program and the art strolls, right? I think they kind of all were married. Well, we met last Wednesday.
Yes.
And really talked about, like, how do we go from where we are to this idea of living longer, healthier, and having more initiatives that are available to help sustain the health and wealth of Fayette County. So out of that initiative, we really began to look into what is called Blue Zones. And I'm not on this program every month, so I have no idea how much you've talked about it.
Just a little. Linda Fitzgerald talked about it last month, and but we're farther along to it, so you just go ahead and start over. Sure.
Okay, so Blue Zones. Look, I'm setting the book. How do we feel? There's a Netflix series that talks about Blue Zones. There's a book that talks about it, and essentially, just in a nutshell, some folks decided they wanted to see where people lived the longest and why were they still living and healthy, and then they looked at those communities and kind of created some best practices and ways to, a lot of times from what I understand, simple ways that we can make subtle changes and start living longer and have more mentally healthy days. And so as part of my day job, I'm always kind of abreast or aware of data, and here in Fayette County, just about, and I don't like to overly announce it, but from a touching the microphone from a youth standpoint, 25% of kids have reported that they are depressed for more than a minute in Fayette County. And so I feel like just looking at how do we increase our mental health, our social interactions, and moving away from isolation to feeling like you belong. And so Blue Zones is a way we can do that. And as a group, we have decided to work towards bringing Blue Zones to Fayette County. And I'm thrilled that Linda is that person that's going after new ways to reach our community. And so anyway, we met last Wednesday, had a pretty decent sized group, and we're moving forward. So if you're interested in learning more about Blue Zones, I'm sure that we can pop up Linda or Mai or like an email.
Right. Yes, we'd be glad to talk to anyone about it, and we are working on bringing this group in. It takes some money to get things funded, but they come in and tell us what we're doing right, what we need some help with, and we know a healthier community. If you're healthy, you're going to work every day, you're more productive, so then we have a better economy. And, it's not just your physical or mental health, it just is your life and the life of our community, which we all love. That's why we want a healthier Fayette County, a productive Fayette County. So I appreciate that. And we need to save time to talk about the Whitewater Valley Art Association, but you said something about a book club or something?
So one of the books that was suggested to us is Start With Why, and it's how great leaders inspire everyone to take action. I don't know. I'm assuming that it is right here. And I'm looking at Thursdays starting in August. So Thursday mornings in August, it will be via Zoom. And so I will put a note on Facebook. I'm just going to say that that's probably the best place to find me, easily. And so 9 a.m. on Thursday mornings, and we're gonna go through this chapter by chapter and kind of strengthen our boats, so to speak, like strengthen our lifeboat. And again, this is such a positive thing. Like, I am so excited, and some of it is so simple. We could start now, like Blue Zone parking spots, like the farthest parking spot from the door.
Yes.
You park in that Blue Zone, then you're getting more natural steps.
Right.
So anyway, I'm excited. I know there'll be more talking about it.
Right. It's not just so you don't get a ding in your door.
Yeah.
It's so you get a few more feet. They do add up.
Yes, they do.
So Tracy, tell us what's going on with the Whitewater Valley Art Association, because we know art is part of our mental health.
Yes.
It's a great outlet for us. It's great to keep our mind working to learn new things. So tell us.
We've been very busy, but getting some things taken care of. So the art stroll and the opening for the August art opening will be the August 8th from 6 to 8, and the art stroll is from 5:30 to 7:30. And the art show right now will be in remembrance of one of our past members. She passed away this last year, Hazel Ailes. And then if we don't have all of her artwork, we will have some of our permanent collection on display also. But some of her pieces are in our permanent collection, I think. And then we have stained glass class. That's good. That's our most famous class. It fills up really fast on August 9th, and the cost is $35 for non-members. If members would like to join, we do have a discount. And then in September, we have a series of oil paintings with workshop with Terry Reno, and that's $125 for 3 classes. So he does a really nice job of this series of different things. And so just look at our Facebook page. We have all of the events on there as much as possible. We're working on upgrading our website, so we'll probably have more things on there as it goes too. But we are continually doing some things there, and we're looking at possibly doing some improvements around the building and stuff too.
Good.
In the future. So.
And this is showing in July. So anything going on in July that was there a mandala class? Is that coming up?
There's a mandala painting class, and that one I think is $25, and I can't remember the date exactly because I had everything for August. But and then we have a junk journaling class. I think we have one space open for that. That's $25.
What is junk journaling?
It's interesting. So you make up your own journal pages, and so it can be rubber stamping, it can be painting, it can be just doodling, whatever you want to do. Or if you collect stuff and it has a memory for you, you can attach it to your junk journal. And then you have a journaling page beside it, but yet you have a story to tell with it.
Okay.
And so Janine Hurd and Judy Reno will be teaching this class. And so I've seen some of their things. It's pretty interesting. Sometimes they will take an article and from a newspaper or an old book or something that they like, and they will keep like the center of it in the light color or blank, and they'll junk journal around it. So just something meaningful that you want to do, and put this in a book.
Okay.
So
sounds interesting.
That sounds so interesting. I want to go.
Well, then we better check the Facebook page and see if we can sign up for that.
Right. So if we get a full class, we could probably have another class. We just need to get a wait list started. So we have some other classes coming up though throughout the year too yet. So it's just getting those dates. I have a lot of different things lined up, but some artists, they're not real punctual. So they have a hard time giving me dates. So so I'm working hard on that because we've had knitting and crocheting in the past, and we've had some other things too. So.
I'm so proud of the work you guys are doing. It's fun. If you haven't stopped in there, you need to stop in. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And stop in every month because it changes.
Yes, it's every month there's a new exhibit. So July will be our membership exhibit, and that will be an eclectic work of different artwork because it's everything from the junk journaling to
ceramics
because we have a ceramic sculptor. We'll have fiber art of different kinds. We have people that Janine loves to do found objects, and so hers will be a assemblage of different things that you're like, oh, those are kind of cool together. Okay. So just different things.
So junk journaling reminds me of my junk drawer. So maybe I need to get that junk drawer out and get it to the lady who can make something out of it. That sounds like fun.
That's
there's so many people with different talents. You're writing, poetry.
We have that too.
It's just, sewing. You have quilters that meet every week. You have wood carvers who meet every week. And these groups, do welcome you to stop by. And if you want to know when these meet, just as a little plug, every year the Whitewater Valley Arts Association puts out a calendar at a very reasonable price. And it has the calendar dates for everything going on. Yes. So we're getting that finished now. And so about in October, you'll be able to purchase with a small donation to the Art Association and see what's going on. And some things repeat all the time, and other things are just, once or twice in the year. But there's so much going on here in Fayette County with the Haven and with the Blue Zones coming to town, hopefully, and the Whitewater Valley Arts Association, the Parks Department, Purdue Extension. There's so many things to do. And we thank you so much, and we can't wait to talk to you again next month.